Did you know that Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientific minds, was greatly influenced by a 17th century philosopher? That philosopher was Baruch Spinoza, also known as Benedictus de Spinoza, and his ideas reach far beyond philosophy. Spinoza's revolutionary thoughts have shaped ethics, psychology, literature, and modern political theory, proving his influence is deep and wide. Let's get started because there's a lot of ground to cover. Spinoza was born in 1632 in Amsterdam to Portuguese Jewish parents who had fled the Inquisition, and this unique background influenced his outlook on life and philosophy. His family's struggle for religious freedom naturally impacted his ideas about tolerance and free thought. He was excommunicated or delivered a writ of herem from the Jewish community for his monstrous deeds and abominable heresies. Spinoza continued to develop his then radical philosophical ideas, making a living as a lens grinder while writing his groundbreaking works. And one of Spinoza's most influential works is his Ethics. It's a theoretical treatise and a practical roadmap for leading a good life. And in this book, Spinoza argues that everything in nature, including humans, strives to persist in its being, a concept known as conatus. And this implies that our actions are driven by an inherent desire to continue our existence. For Spinoza, grasping this drive is imperative to understanding human behavior and making ethical decisions. Spinoza's ethical ideas advocate for living in harmony with nature and reason, leading to a more enriched life. He believed that by comprehending the natural world and our place within it, that we can align our actions with the rational order of the universe. American philosopher Stephen Nadler points out that Spinoza's emphasis on reason over emotion has significantly influenced modern ethical thinking. By employing reason, we can more effectively meet life's challenges. When faced with a moral dilemma, Spinoza's approach helps us find clarity by applying reason rather than being swayed by our emotions. For example, consider a situation where you must decide whether to tell a friend a painful truth. Emotions might push you to avoid hurting them. Still, reason would guide you to consider the long-term benefits of honesty for the relationship. And this rational approach aligns with Spinoza's belief that understanding and embracing our natural drive leads to better decision-making and a more ethical life. Spinoza also believed that true happiness comes from understanding and accepting our nature. He argued that recognizing our place in the natural order can achieve a blessedness or intellectual love of God. And this state is characterized by a deep sense of peace and satisfaction from understanding the world and our place in it. According to Spinoza, this intellectual love is the highest form of happiness. It is achieved through the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. Spinoza's ethical framework helps us see individuals as a part of a larger whole. He proposed that our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others in the natural world, and this perspective fosters a sense of empathy and responsibility, urging us to act in ways that benefit not just ourselves, but the broader community. By recognizing our shared drive to persist and thrive, we can cultivate more compassionate and cooperative relationships. Spinoza had a remarkable understanding of human emotions long before psychology was a formal field, and in ethics he discusses how emotions are not random, but tied to our thoughts and experiences. And this view challenges the notion that emotions are purely irrational forces. Instead, Spinoza believed that understanding the causes of our emotions can help us manage them more effectively. And this idea of a mind-body connection prefigures modern psychology, where our mental and physical states are seen as deeply intertwined. Antonio Damasio, a contemporary neuroscientist, he admires Spinoza for recognizing the importance of emotions in human behavior. Damasio argues that Spinoza's insights into emotions laid the groundwork for our current understanding of the human brain. According to Damasio, Spinoza was ahead of his time in suggesting that emotions are central to human thought and decision-making. Now, this perspective is a cornerstone of modern neuroscience, which views emotions as essential to our cognitive processes and overall well-being. Spinoza's analysis of emotions and ethics includes a detailed examination of emotions such as joy, sadness, love, and hate. He explains that emotions arise from our interactions with the world and our perceptions of these interactions. For example, joy results from encountering something that increases our power to act, while sadness comes from something that diminishes it. Spinoza asserted that we could better control our reactions and achieve greater peace of mind by understanding these emotional triggers. Spinoza's principles can be applied in various aspects of our lives. For instance, the practice of emotional regulation, where understanding and managing emotions can lead to better mental health. This aligns with Spinoza's idea that knowledge and understanding are fundamental to mastering emotions. If someone recognizes that their anxiety is linked to a fear of the unknown, they can address this fear through rational analysis and mindfulness techniques. Similarly, understanding the causes of our joy and sadness can help us better control our reactions and achieve greater peace of mind. Spinoza's influence extends to the concept of affect, a term used in psychology to describe the experience of feeling or emotion. And in Spinoza's framework, affects are the body's responses to external stimuli, which influence our thoughts and action. This idea has been influential in developing affective neuroscience, which studies how emotions affect the brain and behavior. Inspired by Spinoza's work, researchers in this field explore how emotions drive our motivations and shape our interactions with the world. Furthermore, Spinoza's insights into the interconnectedness of mind and body echo contemporary approaches to mental health that emphasize holistic care. Practices such as cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness-based stress reduction, they reflect Spinoza's belief in the power of self-awareness and rationality to improve emotional well-being. And these therapies encourage individuals to understand their thoughts and emotions and develop strategies to manage them effectively, echoing Spinoza's emphasis on the importance of knowledge and reason in achieving emotional balance. But beyond psychology, Spinoza's ideas have inspired many writers and poets, leaving a lasting impact on literature. One notable example is Jorge Luis Borges, an influential 20th century writer and one of my favorite authors, known for his imaginative stories full of magical realism. Borges often referenced Spinoza in his works, admiring the philosopher's view of the universe. In Spinoza's philosophy, everything is interconnected and follows a natural order. This theme of interconnectedness is evident in Borges' stories, where characters and events are linked in surprising ways, creating a sense of unity and coherence that echoes Spinoza's ideas. In Borges' story, The Aleph, the protagonist discovers a point in space that contains all other points, simultaneously offering a glimpse of the entire universe. And this concept reflects Spinoza's idea that everything is part of a single unified reality. Borges' fascination with infinite regress and the interconnectedness of all things can be seen as a literary manifestation of Spinoza's philosophical views. Borges wrote, "I have thought that Spinoza understood everything, and I am only a reflection of his understanding." George Eliot, the pen name of Marianne Evans, was another writer deeply affected by Spinoza's philosophy. In her novel Daniel Deronda, Eliot explores themes of identity, destiny, and the interrelation of all human lives, reflecting Spinoza's ideas about the unity and coherence of existence. Eliot's intellectual engagement with Spinoza is evident in her portrayal of characters who seek to understand their place in the world and the moral implications of their actions. Eliot was known to have read Spinoza extensively, and this influence permeates her work, especially in her deep philosophical reflections on human nature and society. The French philosopher and writer Albert Camus also found inspiration in Spinoza's ideas. In Camus' philosophical novel, The Fall, the protagonist, Jean-Baptiste Clemens, explores themes of guilt, judgment, and the search for meaning in a seemingly indifferent universe. Camus appreciated Spinoza's emphasis on rationality and the idea that understanding our emotions can lead to greater freedom and authenticity. And this philosophical backdrop enriches Camus' exploration of human existence and moral responsibility. The Romantic poets were also drawn to Spinoza's pantheism and view of nature as a manifestation of the divine. In Spinoza's writings, William Wordsworth and Percy Bysshe Shelley, among others, found a philosophical foundation for their celebration of nature and the human spirit's connection to it. Shelley in particular was influenced by Spinoza's ideas about the unity of existence and the divine in nature, which is reflected in his poetry's vivid depictions of the natural world and the human experience. D.H. Lawrence, another literary figure influenced by Spinoza, often explored themes of personal and existential transformation. In his novel Women in Love, Lawrence's characters contend with their desires and the meaning of their lives in ways that reflect Spinoza's ideas about the human drive to persist and thrive. Lawrence's fascination with the human condition and the power of emotions echoes Spinoza's insights into the mind-body connection and the importance of understanding our inner drives. Maybe your inner drive is telling your finger to smash that subscribe button and help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. Now, onward and upward, because we aren't done. As I hinted at the beginning of this video, Spinoza also impacted the field of science, most notably influencing one of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century, Albert Einstein. Spinoza's conception of God and nature as a unified substance provided a framework that aligned with Einstein's understanding of the universe. Spinoza rejected the notion of a personal deity who intervenes in human affairs. Instead, he proposed that God and nature are one and the same, encapsulating the idea that everything in the universe is part of a single interconnected system. And this view, articulated in Spinoza's Ethics, suggested that the natural world operates according to fixed laws, which can be understood through reason and observation. And Albert Einstein found this perspective immensely compelling. He often admired Spinoza's view of God and the cosmos, and in a letter to a Jewish philosopher, Einstein wrote, "I believe in Spinoza's God, who reveals himself in the lawful harmony of the world, not in a God who concerns himself with the fate and doings of mankind." This statement reflects Einstein's alignment with Spinoza's belief that the universe is governed by consistent, discoverable laws rather than random divine interventions. Einstein's theory of relativity, which fundamentally changed our understanding of space, time, and gravity, can be seen as a scientific manifestation of Spinoza's philosophical principles. The theory posits that the fabric of space and time is connected and that massive objects cause this fabric to curve, which we perceive as gravity. This elegant and unified explanation of natural phenomena echoes Spinoza's idea of a cohesive and rational universe. Moreover, Spinoza's influence extends to the scientific method itself. His insistence on understanding the world through reason and empirical evidence laid the groundwork for modern scientific inquiry. Spinoza argued that true knowledge comes from understanding the natural causes of things, a principle underpinning the empirical methods that scientists use today. Now, on to politics, as Spinoza's political ideas remain surprisingly applicable. He advocated for democracy and freedom of thought, arguing that society flourishes when its citizens freely express their ideas. In his theological political treatise, Spinoza contended that the state's power is strengthened, not weakened, when it allows freedom of expression and religious tolerance. He asserted that individuals should have the liberty to think and speak without fear of persecution, as this leads to a more enlightened and cohesive society. His vision of a democratic society where rational discourse and individual rights are paramount was revolutionary for his time, yet remains influential. Spinoza's writings on politics influenced later thinkers like Gilles Deleuze and Antonio Negri, who saw Spinoza's work as a foundation for modern political philosophy. Deleuze admired Spinoza for his vision of a society where people live freely and rationally. He saw Spinoza's concept of immanent ethics, where values and norms are derived from the nature of reality itself, as a way to develop politics based on actual conditions rather than abstract ideals. Deleuze's interpretation of Spinoza illustrates the philosopher's relevance to contemporary governance and social organization issues. Now, on the other hand, Negri focused on Spinoza's ideas about power and community, seeing them as fundamental to understanding modern political dynamics. In The Savage Anomaly, Negri argues that Spinoza's conception of power is fundamentally democratic and communal. Spinoza saw power not as a hierarchical force imposed from above, but as a collective capacity that emerges from the interactions of individuals. And this idea had significant implications for modern political movements, emphasizing the importance of grassroots organizing and collective action. Spinoza's ideas about the nature of power and freedom have also influenced contemporary discussions about autonomy and human rights. His belief that true freedom comes from understanding and aligning with the rational order of nature suggests that personal and political liberty are intertwined. Modern theories of autonomy reflect this perspective, which argues that genuine freedom involves both the absence of internal constraints and the presence of internal understanding and self-mastery. Spinoza's concept of the multitude has mainly influenced political philosophy. According to Spinoza, the multitude is a diverse group of individuals who come together to form a political body. Unlike a homogeneous mass, the multitude retains individual differences while working collectively. Contemporary theorists like Michael Hart have adopted this concept to describe modern social movements that are decentralized and pluralistic, but united in their pursuit of common goals. Spinoza's impact extends beyond political theory into ethics and epistemology. His insistence on the importance of reason and knowledge for a flourishing life have influenced modern educational philosophies emphasizing critical thinking and intellectual freedom. And educators today draw on Spinoza's idea that understanding the causes of our actions and emotions can lead to greater personal and social well-being. Furthermore, Spinoza's ideas about the interconnectedness of all things have found a place in contemporary ecological thought. Environmental philosophers and activists have invoked Spinoza's vision of nature as a unified substance to argue for a more holistic and integrated approach to environmental stewardship. This perspective encourages us to see the natural world not as a collection of isolated resources, but as an interconnected web of life that requires careful and respectful management. Whew! So, Baruch, or Benedictus de Spinoza, was far more than a philosopher. His thoughts have influenced ethics, psychology, literature, and modern political theory, and it shows that he is a thinker with far-reaching ideas. His work encouraged many to live rationally, understand emotions, and appreciate the interconnectedness of life, and value freedom of thought. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Your support means the world. And if you need more of Spinoza, check this one out next.